past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
Listen carefully to the words chosen by Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who said credible allegations are being pursued about a potential link that Indian agencies killed a Canadian citizen. All right. Now, that statement with Prime Minister Trudeau, what has said, I can credibly say that India-Canada relations have turned, which were once complicated, to now bitter, at least till Trudeau is the Prime Minister. When an incumbent Prime Minister of a country in the country's parliament speaks like this and then goes ahead to expel a serving diplomat, that is called a diplomatic war being called against a country.
Call the External Affairs Minister. Sir, you meet the... Sir.
India soon hit it back. In the shortest summon to an envoy, Canadian diplomat was called and within minutes asked to leave India in the next 5 days. India gave out a statement too, calling the allegations baseless and motivated. That inaction of Canada against Khalistan terrorists remains a continuing concern. Why were these allegations by Trudeau not expressed through diplomatic channels? And if it were, why then raise this in the parliament with only a credible allegation rhetoric or a potential link rhetoric, not evidence? Generating all of this tension between two countries for this man. Nijjar was killed by unidentified assailants in June 2023 in Surrey in a Gurudwara premises. It was believed that it was an inter-gang rivalry. But who was Hardeep Singh Nijjar, over which two nations are currently at a diplomatic war? Hardeep Singh Nijjar was not born in Canada. He was neither a social activist or contributing immensely to Canadian society. He fled from India, moved to Canada in 1997 using a fake passport. His refugee claim was rejected. He had cases filed against him in India of religious violence, organizing a bomb blast in 2007 and alleged murders of Hindu priests. Over the years, India several times communicated these concerns of Nijjar's links to terrorist activities and conveyed this to Canada. In 2018, former Punjab Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh handed over a list of wanted individuals to Justin Trudeau, and it was Nijjar's name included in that. Nijjar was declared as a designated terrorist by India in 2020. India even asked for his extradition. A lookout circular, a red corner notice, which are the strongest police alerts issued against fugitives, were issued against him. This is the man that Canada should have been cautious of or gone after. Instead, it continued to defend and shelter one. Nijjar led the Khalistan Tiger Force. It's a banned terrorist group. He was also associated with the banned separatist outfit Sikhs for Justice, a group that has nothing to do with justice but hateful propaganda inciting violence against Indians. What was this Khalistan Tiger Force that Nijjar led? Khalistan Tiger Force was banned by the Indian government under the UAPA Act for reviving secessionist feelings and terrorism again in Punjab. The group was started by Jagdar Singh Hawara, who was also the mastermind behind the assassination of Punjab Chief Minister Beant Singh in 1995. So is this really about Nijjar or much beyond that Canada has spoken about? Remember, Canada is facing high inflation and economic instability. If their Prime Minister believes that such rhetorical actions or statements will help win support, he is highly mistaken, because it actually basically shows that terrorists are getting a free run in Canada and doesn't show him as a strong Prime Minister. Does this latest comment have to do something to do with Trudeau being snubbed at the G20? Where while he was provided the best Indian hospitality, but also shown a mirror to the inaction against anti-India activities on Canadian soil. Just a reminder for you, what sort of separatist anti-India activities am I talking about that Canada has given shelter to, and regularly? The Brampton Parade. For 5 kilometers, this parade was carried out where about former Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, who was assassinated in broad daylight, the assassins here were shown as heroes and as martyrs. Kill India flyers with Indian diplomats were marked as faces of killers, clearly marking them for another assassination like Indira Gandhi. Regular Khalistan referendums have been organized, which are in plain speak secessionist anti-India activities on Canadian soil. Terry Milewski is a senior journalist and author of Blood for Blood, 50 Years of the Global Khalistan Project. He's based in Canada, and he reminds us about the Air India Kanishka bombing, its history and how it's connected to the present.
The Air India bomber, the Kanishka bombing of 1985. India asked for his extradition in 1982, 3 years before the bombing. They outed him as a wanted international terrorist and the murderer of 2 policemen in India. And the father of Justin Trudeau, Pierre Trudeau, was the prime minister and said no to Indira Gandhi. No, you can't have him. So there's a long history of Canada saying your standards aren't our standards. We don't think you've got the evidence. Well, now the tables are turned. That's the important thing. It's Canada who's making the accusations, and Canada who better substantiate them. Because if they can't, this is going to be a fiasco, and it could be Justin Trudeau's last fiasco in power.
Talking about the Kanishka bombings, Inderjeet Singh Riat, the only person convicted in the Air India bombing of 1985, which claimed the life of 331 people, including Canadian citizens. He was released from prison after just serving 1/3 of his sentence. He was released after Justin Trudeau became the Prime Minister. Now listen in to this video from the inaugural session of the World Sikh Organization, a propagandist hateful group in Canada calling for the massacre of Hindus. This was shared by activist Puneet Sahani, who regularly courageously exposes the Khalistan propaganda on social media.
आपनु भरोसा दिवाना है जिन्ना चेर तक 50,000 हिंदू असी कत्ल नहीं कर देंदे साह नहीं लवांगे.
Canada's political figures have sadly and openly expressed sympathy with such extremist elements. This political pressure or vote bank of support, for example, from NDP's Jagmeet Singh, is pushing Justin Trudeau to even snap ties with India. But worse, encouraging extremist elements that will eventually harm Canada itself. Remember that the Sikh community forms a major population among the diaspora in Canada, and the fact remains, Sikhs are not anti-India. Sikhs do not support the Khalistani extremists. In fact, the Sikhs have added to India's nation building for centuries. Baljinder Singh Balli, a Congress local leader based in Punjab in India, was shot twice in his house with 2 unidentified assailants who barged in. It was all caught on CCTV footage, and sadly Balli died. A few hours later, gangster and designated terrorist Hardeep Singh Gill has taken responsibility. He is known to be hiding in Canada presently. If India has a diplomatic war with any nation, that's actually with Pakistan, a nation which has sheltered terrorists and constantly created disturbance. India and Indians have, for the past 3 decades at least, have seen the chaos, the mess that Kashmir conflict has become. Attacks in Mumbai, known as 26/11, are all because of infiltration by Pakistan. Is that the relationship that Canada wishes to have with India, which many Indians always believed was a friendly country, developed, welcoming, warm, and once was very inclusive? India and Canada have strong connect in terms of exchange of people for now. People from across India, specifically from Punjab, visit, study, or migrate in thousands to Canada. But such behavior by the Canadian Prime Minister is bound to affect the exchange programs, migration and visa formalities, and also eventually important trade deals between both countries. As I conclude, all that India expected, irrespective of its governments, was action against Khalistan extremists who are working on igniting flames to burn India. And they are finding shelter in Canada, and that Canada would have been a true friend and taken action. Instead, Canada as of now appears to have chosen to shelter the extremists and even pick a possible conflict with India. Thank you for watching. This is a developing story about what's unfolding in Canada vis-a-vis India, and we'll be keeping a close watch on that. Stay tuned now, as coming up next with Jessica Goyal, what's happening in India today.
महिलाओं को अधिकार देने का, महिलाओं की शक्ति का उपयोग करने का वो काम, शायद ईश्वर ने ऐसे कई पवित्र काम के लिए मुझे चुना है.
And now, pending for nearly 27 years, the Women Reservation Bill is making its way to the Parliament again. Attempts at introducing similar bills were made in 1996, 1998 and 1999. In 2008, a significant attempt was made, resulting in the bill's passage in the Rajya Sabha in 2010 before it lapsed due to the dissolution of the Lok Sabha in 2014. This video is from 2010. The Women Reservation Bill was being debated in the Rajya Sabha, and in resistance, copies of the bill were torn. You must know that bills introduced or passed in Rajya Sabha do not lapse. Hence, the Women's Reservation Bill is still very much active. However, this time, it's not going to be the previous bill, but a new bill that is being proposed. Broadly, this bill proposes reserving seats in Lok Sabha and state legislative assemblies for women, and included a quota within quota for SCs, STs and Anglo-Indians. Women's reservation will be on a rotational basis. 1/3 of SC/ST seats will be reserved for members of the community. Single membership with reserved seats for women will be implemented after 2027 following delimitation. Let's talk about why we do or don't need the bill. As per statistics revealed by the central government, women make up only 15% of seats in Lok Sabha, while the number falls to 14% in Rajya Sabha. The percentage is even lower and often falls to single digits in the state assemblies. Pause here and look at how we compare to the rest of the world. Another key argument is that women's representation is needed in the decision-making process to address issues such as the high percentages of crime against women, low participation of women in the workforce, low nutrition levels, and skewed sex ratio. On the other hand, one of the key arguments against the bill is that women are not a homogeneous community such as a caste group. Another argument states that reserving seats for women would violate the Constitution's guarantee of equality. Those who make this argument state that if a reservation is put in place, women would not compete on merit. Many also argue that it is not possible to reserve seats in Rajya Sabha due to the existing system of elections to the upper house. The Rajya Sabha MPs are elected through a single transferable vote, which means that the votes are first allocated to the most preferred candidate and then to the next preferred candidate and so on. This system cannot accommodate the principle of reserving a certain number of seats for a particular group, even for SCs and STs. Now we will soon find out if the time for Women Reservation Bill has come. That's all we have for you today. Thank you for watching.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today Newsmo.